Welcome back to another episode of Fourth and Whatever podcast with Mike and Adam. I think this is an episode, dude, that we've been waiting on, man. This episode right
Yeah,
here
man.
signifies that the season is upon us, dude. The schedule prediction episode. You and I have talked about this episode really since probably before we even recorded the very first episode of the podcast.
Yeah, for sure, man. It was a topic we had on there early, big
Mm-hmm.
topic. So always a fun thing to do. I do this when I've not been on a podcast every year, trying to make my predictions. So pumped.
Yeah, man. Talking about the 2025 schedule prediction for the University of Tennessee. This is going to be a good one. Like we're going to go into every single game. There's 12 games. Some games obviously are going to go longer than others, but naturally some of those SEC matchups we're definitely going to have a little bit more to say about those for sure. Looking at Tennessee's schedule as a whole, as far as what everyone thinks about it, a lot of media outlets do like toughest schedules in the nation, things of that nature. ESPN has the University of Tennessee's schedule sitting at 15th toughest in the nation. So, top 20 toughest schedule in the nation. I guess if you really think about it, anyone in the SEC is probably going to fall into that top 15 toughest schedule. Would you?
Yeah, I would say so, man. I mean, we don't have the hardest schedule in the SEC this year, the toughest one, but we do have some really tough games on there. So I think I could see that being 15 ranked. It's pretty fair based on
Yeah.
the schedule I've looked at. So.
Yeah, I think so. And just a quick breakdown before we get into it, I think it's kind of cool to do this. Obviously, we're going to open the season up with a neutral site game. We got 7 home games on the schedule, 4 away games, obviously 8 SEC games, 4 non-conference games. This kind of goes into what you were saying about maybe not the toughest SEC schedule. We've got 4 games against ranked opponents. We got number 5 Georgia, number 8 Alabama, number 15 Florida, number 18 Oklahoma there. Kind of splitting those 4 ranked games between home and away. Got 2 at home, two away. So but with that being said, one of the non-conference games and opening up the season, August 30th, a couple Saturdays from now, the Vols will travel down to Atlanta, play in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium there. And we're going to open up the season against the ACC Syracuse. Orange is their name, Syracuse Orange. So, 2 orange teams there, man. May not know too much about Syracuse, them being in the ACC, but dude, let's kind of bounce through this one real quick and talk about how we feel about that season opener against Syracuse.
Yeah, man. So I'll start out with it. With this game, I'm just go ahead and say I do have Tennessee winning this game. I do think this game's going to be a little bit closer than what the fans would like, though. It's kind of a trap game, The first game, Tennessee's probably going to be expected to win. A lot of people's not really going to think too much into it and think, oh, this is game 1 against Syracuse. Not an easy opponent, but they'll be like kind of overlook them, I feel like. And so I think it's actually going to be a tough opponent for them. And I think Tennessee's probably going to get a slow start. I think we got, Joey coming in or whoever's going to be the starter. I know they won't officially announce that yet, but that's probably some strategy. But, whoever's coming in and starting, it's going to be their first game starting with Tennessee, really. And
Yep.
I think it's going to be a little bit of a slow start. Ultimately, I think Tennessee does win this game, though, in a pretty close game, closer than what we would want as the fans for game 1. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think Tennessee gets the win here.
That's fair, man. I mean, starting off slow naturally, just a season opener, a team of people that haven't played together for sure, kind of starting off slow. One thing that I put in my notes that I wanted to get across was we are lucky that we're not playing the 2024 Syracuse team, man, because they went 10-3 on the season. They lost their star quarterback Kyle McCord to the NFL draft. Kyle McCord, man, look his stats up. Later when you get some free time, insane. I'm so glad he's not there. If
Yeah.
he was still there, we'd be hurting. I did want to kind of mention something kind of cool, and then I'll give my prediction. Tennessee has only played Syracuse 3 times. The last time being in 2001. We have beat them all 3 times, so figured that'd be kind of cool to throw out there. But yeah, I'm with you on this one. W. Like you said, slow start, maybe a little bit closer than, like you said, some of the fans may want. I think Vols come out of Atlanta with a W for sure.
Yeah, man.
And that'll bring us to week 2. We got ETSU on the schedule, local team around here, Johnson City. Just right down the road, right? Look at that.
That's
Got
where
the
I graduated.
ETSU.
Go
There you
Bucks.
go. ETSU, last time we played them was in 2018. 59-3, man. Naturally, right? Let's just go ahead and call it a W, right? I mean,
W, man, easy win. It's what it is supposed to be. ETSU is going to get paid some money, come play in Knoxville. Players get some
yep,
cool experience. Um,
yep.
there'll be some backups playing for Tennessee, early on.
Mm,
Yeah, it is what it is. It'll be similar. ETSU just don't have the firepower for that. But
no,
it's kind of how it goes, man. These big colleges pay some of the small ones to come and kind of
yep.
have a practice week. So
And I think it's cool to keep that money in state too. Paying a small school from Tennessee to come down and play you, man, instead of
oh
paying
yeah,
some team from the West Coast to come over and give them $1 million or however much they give them. So,
for sure, man.
yeah,
And definitely no hate on the Bucks, man. Yeah, like I said,
yeah.
went to ETSU, man. I hope they have a great season this year. But yeah, this game is what it is. So
Yep. Yeah, we'll chalk that one up as a W, a consensus on the W there. Although it would be a very, very, very bad day at Knoxville.
if we lose that game, man, we're not doing
Yeah.
well. We're not making a bowl game this year.
If
So
we lose that game, yeah, well, okay. Yeah, you're right.
yeah,
W.
yeah.
So that brings us into the biggest test that we've faced, obviously, this far in the season. We're on week 3 here, September 13th in Knoxville, which is a positive. Number 5 Georgia comes to town. Preseason rank AP gave them a number 5. They went 11-3 last season. They're the defending SEC champs. They do have a new quarterback. If you want to take that into consideration on how you feel about it, what you got, man?
Man, I do think this is going to be a close game. Um,
Okay.
I don't know why. I just have a feeling it's going to be a close game being in Knoxville. And with Georgia having a new quarterback, um, uncertainties, on how that'll be, but he could be awesome. So I don't know. I think Georgia's going to be very tough, though. Everything in me wants to be like, oh yeah, we'll break that streak of losing to Georgia, and Hype will get that win against Georgia. But I I have to be realistic, and I think until we can get over that hump, I'm gonna have to take an L on this one, and I'm just gonna have to say that Georgia's probably gonna win this game. I do think it'll be a close game being in Knoxville. Unfortunately, I'm probably gonna have to take the L on the schedule for this one, in a very close game in Knoxville.
I got you, man. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm giving this game an L. Reason being is, regardless of who's where on their roster, who's stepping up in the absence of players going to the NFL, seems like teams like that, they've got 5-star after 5-star, blue chip after blue chip. You've got guys that are replacing them that until they got playing time could have been better than the guy that went to the NFL. Who knows?
Yeah,
I will say I agree with you on the aspect of it being in Knoxville. My gut feeling just kind of tells me that's the only thing going for us, unfortunately, in that game. The fact that it is in Knoxville. But yeah, I've got UT with a young roster and inexperience. We've got Georgia, I mean, yeah, they lost 13 players to the NFL draft. I just think the level of talent that Kirby Smart's rolling in down there is a little higher than what Heupel's rolling in at this moment. So yeah, I gotta agree with you. Thus far into the schedule, that becomes our first loss right there, to the Georgia Bulldogs, unfortunately. But after that game, we stay at home, and we have a team that comes to town, UAB. Last year they went 3-9. I mean, they are what they are. Don't know hardly anything about them. What I do know about them is Tennessee's only played them 4 times in the history of the program. Obviously, UT's won all 4 of those. The most recent time being in 2019. Fun fact that I did write down on here is in 2010, UT played UAB and it went into double overtime. So could this be one of those sleeper games and those sleeper teams where Tennessee struggles? Who knows? But what do you got on this one, man? UAB comes to Knoxville.
you definitely have to take that in consideration of a team that you can't look over, just
Yep.
because coming off a big game like that against Georgia. But man, Tennessee's going to make it 5-0. They're going to get a win, in my
Yep.
opinion, on that, especially the team that was 3 wins last year. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I would say this isn't going to be one of their wins this year. Game you got to watch out for. You should take them all seriously, but yeah, I think Tennessee gets the win there pretty
Yep.
easily.
Yeah, and I have a W as well for this game. I was, and on a team like that, like, we don't have much information on them. I mean, I don't personally. I can't
Yeah,
speak
I
for
don't either.
everyone else. So when I looked them up and I saw that it took Tennessee going into double overtime to beat this team in 2010. That just goes to show you, like you said, you can't overlook any team, man. But Vols being at home, W for sure. So that's got us sitting. We are 3-1 at the moment, right?
Yep, 3-1.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So after UAB, week 5, Tennessee actually hits the road. We opened the season up at a neutral site game, which I'm still a believer that that's going to be more like a Tennessee home game. Tennessee fans are going to travel down to down to
Yeah.
Atlanta for sure. But week 5, September 27th, Tennessee hits the road against the Mississippi State Bulldogs. This is Tennessee's first true road game. It's away at Mississippi State.
Mississippi State, man, you know, we had an earlier podcast where we talked about the strength of the SEC this year, and they're just going to be towards the bottom of it. Um, so I've got this as a win, even though it is at Mississippi State. All SEC games on the road have to be taken, you know,
Yeah.
very seriously. You can't get a guaranteed win on that, that's for sure. But I just feel like Tennessee's going to pull that one off and win by a couple touchdowns,
Yeah.
on it. Um, I don't see it being like down to the wire or anything. But it's all the games played. You never know. But I'm going to give Tennessee a win on that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you on that. Tennessee gets a win. But like you said, man, any road game in the SEC, you cannot go in there overlooking Mississippi State just because of their recent failures. Last year they went 2-10. That's about as bad as it gets. I mean, honestly, I
It's
mean, yeah, I
tough,
mean
man.
it could be worse, right? But
Right.
if Tennessee goes into that game, dude, knowing and thinking in the back of their mind that this is just Mississippi State, I mean, that's a recipe for disaster before you even step off the bus. Um, you've got to go in there with the mentality that this is a SEC opponent on the road. Historically, Josh
For
Heupel and
sure.
the Vols have not had much success on the road in the SEC against many opponents. So, got to keep that in mind, man. Tennessee did win last year, obviously, but Tennessee gets another W here in my book too, for sure. One good thing about this game right here is after this game, Tennessee does get their first bye week of the season. That'll give them time to reset, maybe heal some wounds up, because you've already played a few games and played a physical Georgia team, played another SEC team in Mississippi State. Those small schools seems like sometimes people get banged up too, man. So a bye week after a game like that is crucial. After the bye week, Tennessee does go back home to Knoxville to play Arkansas, which, other than maybe one other game, is actually the biggest game that I'm most looking forward to in this 2025 season. So, yeah, we got Arkansas coming to Knoxville this season in a revenge game against the Razorbacks there, Mike. What do you think about this one? How you feel?
Just like you said, man, revenge game, and I think we do get revenge. I think Tennessee's going to win this one. And if we're right on this, coming out of the bye week, 4-1, in a close game against Georgia, this would make it 5-1. I really hope we're right on that. I think we're in a good spot of the season if we are.
Yeah,
But I think Tennessee's, I don't think it's going to be no blowout or nothing, but I think they're going to come out pretty fired up in the revenge game there. And I think they get
yeah,
the revenge on Arkansas this year and get the win that they should have got last year.
yeah,
And I don't mean that by like anybody watching this. I don't mean that by the refs or anything like that. Just Tennessee should have won that game.
yeah,
Yeah, they played like they should have.
yeah,
No knock against Arkansas. Arkansas played great that game.
yeah.
But on paper, you looked at it like, and that's what going into that game, Tennessee would have been the one predicted to win it. So
Yeah.
um, this year, I think we get that revenge on them. I do think we get a win for that week.
Yep. Yeah, I agree, man. I'm chalking this one up as a W. I always love revenge games, man, to be honest with you. It's fun to see how a team kind of combats that loss from the previous season if they took a L to a team. I think Tennessee's going to come into this one fired up. We did lose that game last year to them on the road, mind you, which goes back to what I was saying there a little bit ago. Those SEC road games are tough, but them coming to Knoxville gives me supreme confidence in this. The only thing really that I know about Arkansas is they do have their quarterback coming back this year, Taylon Green. He threw for almost 4,000 yards last year, dude. So I mean, he's going to air it out. if we still have issues with our secondary like we have over the past couple seasons, he's going to be the type of guy that exposes that. And with them getting that win over us last year, I mean, you got to think about the other side of the coin there. I mean, that's going to give them motivation because they know that we're beatable. You know, they just because they're coming to Knoxville, I'm sure they're not going to just think, oh, well, this is a tough place to play. You know, we're probably going to lose. But yeah, one crazy thing about Arkansas too is they're only returning 4 starters on defense, so they have an entirely new defense basically, man. So that's going to be tough to come into Knoxville and play with too. But
Yeah.
yeah, week 6, Vols get a W against Arkansas, man. Now this one is another big time SEC game on the road. You know, Vols are on the Tuscaloosa. This is another one of our ranked games that we're going to be playing. The AP has them ranked number 8 in the preseason. It's the 3rd Saturday in October, Mike. What you got, brother? Tennessee versus Alabama in Tuscaloosa.
Oh, the 3rd Saturday, man. Third
Yeah,
Saturday's been a lot more enjoyable the last few years, you know. And
it has.
but,
That it has.
but saying that, Bama also, I think, treats this game as more of a rivalry game now than just an automatic win.
Yeah.
And you know, because there for a long time it was just a game that Bama just won. I do think, you know, this has potential to be a pretty hard fought game there on both sides. You know, it has become kind of that rivalry. I'm gonna get excited for it because it's the 3rd Saturday in October, and
Yep.
but I just, man, I really for some reason feel like this year Bama's just gonna have a little bit too much firepower for us. Maybe it'd be a little different in Knoxville. We've had a little bit better luck against them there, but and even then, I don't know why. I just think Bama's going to get the win this year. That's going to be the game we're going to get. I'm not saying we're going to get beat real bad or anything. I think they're going to solidly win the game, and I think and I hate to say that. You know, as a Tennessee fan, it's hard to be so realistic when it comes to certain games, but I
Yeah.
hope I'm wrong. But I think that this is one that Tennessee's going to get beat, like, and have to really recover after that and be like, all right, what are we going to do the rest of the season? But
Yep.
I do think that they take an L down there in Bama.
Yep. Yeah. It's funny, dude. You and I have not compared what we thought the record was going to be. Haven't even really talked about it, honestly, believe it or not.
No,
I've
intentionally.
got yeah, yeah. I've got Tennessee going down to Alabama and taking a loss as well, man. It's year 2 under Kalen DeBoer. It seems like last year it was all about how's he going to fill Saban's shoes? How's he going to fill Saban's shoes? I think Kalen DeBoer is going to have this team absolutely fired up this season. And he's going to want to prove to everyone, but he's going to want to prove to the Alabama fan base mainly that, hey, I'm not Nick Saban. This is my team now. I think them going 9-4 was kind of like a wake up call to them last year because they're not used to that whatsoever.
No.
You know, they do have a redshirt freshman that is projected to be their starter. I don't think it's actually been announced yet, but I think just much like we said, the Arkansas game is a revenge game for us. I think this is a revenge game for Bama, man, and I do think that it being in Tuscaloosa just doesn't help the cause at all. So 3rd Saturday in October has been going back and forth for the past few years. It's going back to Tuscaloosa this year, I think, unfortunately. So I agree with you, man. Tennessee takes that L.
Hey, I'll make sure to wear my checkered Neyland socks and do the best I can, man. But yeah. So,
Yeah. Yeah, and I went down to Tuscaloosa there a couple years ago, and I'm not going to travel down there this year for it, but
yeah.
it's
How
it's
is that? Is it as far as the stadium down there
oh yeah,
going to a
yeah,
game?
it's awesome, man. They've got a really cool setup and everything. You know, going to so many Tennessee games, I'm so used to walking up hills and climbing over people and walking down hills, and
Yeah.
you know, down there it seemed like everything was flat, everything was kind of perfectly laid out.
Yeah.
It was the stadium was easy to find, easy to get to. So yeah, I enjoyed going down there. Pretty cool stadium for sure. We're going to continue the trend of being on the road now, not losing, but we're going to continue the trend of being on the road here. Tennessee does not go back home after Alabama. They travel to Lexington, Kentucky, to take on the Kentucky Wildcats there. Last year, Kentucky was 4-8. This is crazy right here, dude. Kentucky lost 29 players to the transfer portal. Significant, major roster turnover, from what I understand. They did pick up 27 roster spots from the portals. I mean, if all those guys are starters, I'm not saying they are, but if all those guys are starters, or even half of them are starters, man, the Wildcats are looking at basically a completely different team, dude, which is sometimes hard to get off the ground year one if you're together there. How do you feel about the Vols going down to Lexington?
When you lose that many starters, man, to the portal, it's most likely because you're a basketball school. And I'm just going to be honest, Tennessee's going to go do what they do against the University of Kentucky, man. Yeah, they're going to get a win. It is in Lexington, which is the most successful place Kentucky has against Tennessee there. I think they've won 3 or 4 times in my lifetime there, so that's their more successful venue to play them at. It's still probably like a home game to us just because we're so used to winning there, but uh, yeah, and I know I'm talking about, right, I know some people that are Kentucky fans, so I have to like
Let them have
really
it.
just let them have it. We every year this happens, but. And they get excited every year too, so they'll be excited for this game. And for some reason, man, I get kind of nervous when we play Kentucky because of how much I talk. But at the same time, they do kind of give us a little bit of a hard time from time to
Hmm.
time. But I don't know, man. They just this year they just don't look. I mean, it's a new team, but they're not predicted to be good. They don't look. It
Right.
doesn't look good, man. When you got that many people leaving, I think Kentucky's going to have a very down year, and Tennessee is just not the team that they beat often, and I think
Right.
that's going to happen. Tennessee can't take it lightly, coming off a loss against Bama, probably beaten up a little bit. Um, so if what we predict is true,
Right.
so I think they're going to be prepared for it though, and come back in looking to rebound. And again, it's going to come down to what I said when I was talking about with like when you take that loss to Bama, like I think that they might. What are you going to do with the rest of your season? Kentucky is a good team for them to be playing after that. Not just being the bias side of it. It's just historically, um, realistically, and how the year is going to probably look for Kentucky and what everybody expects them to be down. Um, and you're talking about a team that really never is that far up there, so it's like for them to be down from where they're at, we're talking a 4-win team last year. So yeah, I think that Kentucky takes the L
Yeah.
and Tennessee gets the win on that one.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if it was that obvious, but the way I segued into this Kentucky game, I was setting you up to start talking some crap. Oh yeah, man.
I
Well,
can't help it.
I, this Mike, this is another one we agree on, man. I think Tennessee does kind of stumble into Lexington, banged up slightly, maybe from the week before, but I do agree with you, man. Tennessee does take that W in Lexington. I think that would be a cool game to go to. Actually, I've been thinking about going down to Lexington for a few years now to try to catch a game. So never
Yeah, it would
know.
be cool, man. I do like Lexington. I went once there and it was pretty cool. I didn't go to the game or stadium or anything, but
Yeah.
it looks like it would be a pretty nice stadium.
That leads us into week 9. We got another SEC opponent here. This is another one of our ranked games. Um, Josh Heupel's alma mater, man. Oklahoma's coming to Knoxville. We took care of business down there in Oklahoma last year for Josh Heupel's first time coaching against his old team, I'd say. We skated out of Oklahoma with the 25-15 win. Oklahoma, I've said it before, dude. I do think that in that preseason AP poll, they're just a little bit too high for me, man. And then I don't know, man. What do you think? How do you feel about them coming to Knoxville this season?
Yeah, man, I think we both had them a little lower when we ranked our SEC team. So
Yeah.
it is kind of interesting to see. And it's kind of typical, I think, for them to, Oklahoma gets a lot of love a lot of times in some of the preseason polls and some of the rankings and everything. I don't think Oklahoma's going to be a bad team by any means, and I actually think this game's going to be very close. I think potentially a one possession type
Yeah.
game. Um, I do think Heupel besses them again though, and they're going to get that. Just going to get that win in a close game. Like I said, I predict probably a one possession game, and Tennessee escapes with a win in Knoxville because it is a good setup for Oklahoma to have a revenge game.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there are obviously some hype that goes around there. Heupel being, that was his school, and then now he's the coach of Tennessee. So there's always like hype around all that. It's usually very respectful though too. So
Yeah.
which is cool. But I do think that Tennessee's going to get the win here in a very close game.
Yeah, it's funny, man. I've got some of the same stuff in my notes, dude. I think I do have Tennessee winning this game. I got a W over here next to it. A couple things that do kind of scare me is, this is Oklahoma's fourth year under Brent Venables, their head coach. Typically, if you've got a good team and you've got a good culture, and your coach is somewhat good, or starting to build momentum, around that fourth or fifth year is when you really should start seeing some sort of progress in a team and a program.
Yeah.
So he's had 4 years to build this thing. Last year was their first season in the SEC. A major disappointment. That it didn't go how they wanted it to go, obviously. But I think the fact that it's his fourth year as the head coach, he's coaching against the Vols and Josh Heupel. It's kind of a revenge type game. They're trying to find their footing and find their way in being in the SEC. I think all of that mixed up is a recipe that could spill disaster. I mean, as a Vol fan and for the Vols, I mean, it's one of those it's one of those trappy type games where if you go into it and you're thinking, well, Oklahoma wasn't that good last year, they're the new kid in town in the SEC. I mean, you could take a L just as easily as you could take a dub, man. And I do think that it's important to keep that in mind. But yeah, I've got a W. November 1st, Oklahoma comes to Knoxville. Oklahoma went 6-7 last year. I know they'll be looking to improve on that for sure.
Yeah, I do think they'll be better than that, the six and
Yeah,
seven record this year. I,
yeah,
I um, do expect them to be a little bit better than that, but
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
And maybe that number 18 spot in the AP poll is warranted, man. I don't know. I mean, you can go up or down, but I mean, I feel like coming into the SEC and all that stuff, I mean, they're going to have the at least the motivation to get better and build off of what they failed on last year. So,
for sure.
um, so luckily for the Vols, after the Oklahoma game, which we both agree will be a tough fought, hard nosed, grinded out type of football game, the Vols do have a bye week, another bye week after that game. So that'll give us another moment in the season to kind of reset, get healthy, and hopefully not overlook this next opponent.
I really like our bye weeks, by the way. I think they're
Yeah,
some very good times.
yeah, I think they're stacked up really well. They fall perfectly in the season. It's interesting to see how teams play coming out of bye weeks. I think that's one thing that I always pay close attention to. And for Tennessee, at week 10, when we come out of this bye week, we do stay in Knoxville, so that's good. We don't have to travel for a couple weeks. We get to stay home, kind of rehabilitate, do whatever we got to do to get healthy. If we've got players banged up, which this deep into the season typically you do. But November 15th in Knoxville, we got New Mexico State coming to town. Should be an easy win, I would think. But I did want to point out that we've played them twice historically, so really haven't played this team very much. Last time we played them was in 2021. We beat them 56-0. So, it's just one of those teams, man. What do you think?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I think this is a win.
Yep.
I don't know a lot about this school, but I think it is one of those
Yep.
smaller games you put on your schedule to get a win and get some get some practice in, is
Yeah.
what it's supposed to be. Anyways, I think that's what that game's supposed to be. So
Yep.
coming off of a bye week, there's no reason to not get a win here. And I
Yep.
predict that Tennessee will win it pretty easily.
Yeah, I agree. Another cool thing that this does is after the bye week, if you've still got some key players that have lingering injuries, you could probably skate by with giving some of those younger guys a lot of reps in a game like this. You know what I'm saying? Letting them kind of come to the
Yeah,
forefront and get a little bit of experience. I think
for
it's
sure.
important to do that to those young guys. But with that being said, the very following week, you cannot with who we play after New Mexico State, you cannot be on New Mexico State week and thinking about the following week.
No,
But,
absolutely
but
not.
because that's another recipe for disaster. So after we play New Mexico State, that week is when we travel down to the dreaded Gainesville down in the swamp, dude. Tennessee has not won in the swamp in 22 years.
Yeah.
And
Um,
I mean, I'm just going to lay that out there right now. That's 9 straight seasons. We flip flop home and away, home and away, home and away. When you add it up over 9 seasons, it's like 22 years, dude, since we've won a game down there. The last time we won was in 2003 in the swamp. Man, how do you feel about this one, dude? This is always my favorite
yeah.
game of the season.
Yeah, man, I'll definitely. I always get pumped for Florida. It's weird being so late in the
Hmm.
year, which could be nice for us playing in Gainesville later. The weather's not nearly as brutal as it is at the beginning of the season
That's
down
true.
there, but it's brutally hot this time of the year. So that part will probably be nice. Probably have some nice weather. But man, it is. It's just one of those games you got to start thinking at some point. It's just kind of mental. Florida's been better than us a lot of times too. Before
Yeah.
somebody comes and attacks me and says it's just because it's in our head and we're beating ourselves. It's not what I'm saying. But there has been years where Tennessee should have beat Florida there. There has been
Yeah.
years where Tennessee had the better team, and just didn't come out and beat them there. And I think Florida's going to be tough. Um, you know, uh, the way they ended last year, coming into this season, there's a lot of hype around it, and
Yeah.
we're going to Gainesville, and man, as bad as I want to break that streak, until we can win there, if I'm realistically picking games year in and year out, it's going to be really hard for me to pick, Tennessee to win that game. Um, I don't think it's a blowout or anything like that because that game's always close. I feel like no matter how much better Florida is than us, we still somehow, always seem to fight pretty close with them. But so I think it'll be a fairly close game. I just unfortunately think it's Gainesville and down in the swamp, dude. It's just like really hard for us to win down there. So I think that Tennessee's going to take the L,
Yeah.
unfortunately. And that's a crucial part of the season to take another one. That would be our third
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
I can't pick them to win it right now. I'm looking at these as games I truly think are win-loss. I'm trying to put my like bias to the side and like really, really look at them as who's going to win or lose.
Yeah.
I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah. No, man, I agree with you. And I got a note right here that says UT struggles again in the swamp. So I've got Tennessee taking an L as well. Florida did gain a lot of traction, man, late in the season last year. A lot of traction, a lot of momentum. And their head coach down there, Billy Napier, dude. I mean, he's fighting for his job, and towards the tail end of last season, man, it kind of saved him, really.
Yeah.
And with their quarterback DJ Lagway, because Lagway wasn't the starter last year. They had a different quarterback starting,
Hmm.
Graham Mertz. He goes down with an injury, and when Lagway comes in and starts, he takes the Gators to a 6-1 record as a starter.
Yeah.
So they've obviously found their guy. They've got 4 out of their 5 offensive linemen returning. That is a major, major, major positive right there for them. Um, like I said, this is always my favorite game of the season, man. This year, the AP poll does have Florida ranked number 15, so that's our fourth and final ranked opponent. Of course, by the time it gets to this point in the season, who knows where everybody's going to be? But yeah, that 22-year drought, man, in the swamp. Unfortunately, I do think it extends. I don't think that this Tennessee team is the team to go down there and get the dub. Dude, I hope if we ever go back and watch this after the season that you and I are completely wrong, man. Um, but I approached this just like you approached it. I try to put a little bit of my bias aside and I look at it from a realistic standpoint. I mean, historically, we just struggle down there, dude, and I think we unfortunately struggle again down there this year.
Yeah.
Not saying we're going to get our doors blown off or anything like that. I hope that doesn't happen. Very well could happen. I mean, you never know. We didn't
Yeah.
look too hot in 2023 when we went down there. I think Florida is building off that success and building off that momentum of the 24 season, and I think it kind of carries over into 2025. So yeah, unfortunately, we find ourselves with our third loss going into week 12. And going into week 12, we do come back home. We end the regular season at home. in Knoxville, November 29th. Our little brother and our favorite quarterback that we love to hate, Diego Pavia and Vanderbilt, come to Knoxville. Vanderbilt had a good season last year, man. Made it to a bowl game, went 7-6. You got to think that they're going to use that as a platform to build off of going into 2025. How do you feel, man?
Yeah, man. I mean, Vanderbilt, like you said, they 7-6 season, had a good year last year, got some hype around it. Um, Quarterback coming back, Diego's getting the team hyped up. And that's why I gotta say, Vols by 50. Vols are gonna be winning that game, man. No, but yeah, I think that the Tennessee's gonna win fairly big here. I really do think that it they're gonna be fired up from some of the things that's happened, and this is gonna be that, if what we predict is true, and they're 9-3 or be 8-3 going into this game.
Yep.
It's kind of the last game of the season before you go to your bowl game, and there's
Yep.
some players going to be playing hard for that. They're going to be remembering those things that were said, from Vanderbilt, and they're going to want to end
Oh
on a
yeah.
positive note as well. So I
Oh
think
yeah.
Tennessee in Knoxville, last game of the season. I don't think it's even that close, man. I think they win by 2 or 3 touchdowns and handle that game pretty well.
Now Diego Pavia may have something to say about that, Mike.
He probably does. We already know what I have to say.
Yeah, man. So yeah, I think I will say this. Um, if I'm giving any positive energy towards Vanderbilt, is that this game against Tennessee this year is going to be kind of exciting, man. To be honest with you, after all the Netflix stuff that
Yeah.
Diego said on that documentary that came out, all the stuff he said prior to that in this current off season, how Vanderbilt's going to run Tennessee this year. I've got us with a W there, obviously. We beat them 36-23 last year, but I do think that there's an added, I don't really know the word to it, maybe just excitement for lack of a better term. There's an added excitement to this game for once in a while. I mean, it's been a long time since I got excited about a Vanderbilt game. Um, I am excited about this one, and this one might be one that me and you may be able to go to, or you never know. You never know what the future looks like.
I would definitely love to go to that one. Last home game of the season.
Yeah,
Yeah, that would definitely be something cool to work out. We'll have to look into that,
yeah.
as it gets
November
closer.
29th going to be a little bit chilly down there in Knoxville.
Yeah.
It'll be cool though. So yeah, that puts Tennessee at a 9-3 overall record for us. Obviously, making a bowl game. With the way things shaped up last year with the first year of the 12-team playoff, that probably if we're basing it off of how they did things last year, that would leave Tennessee out of that 12-team playoff. Which with everything that we've been through in this offseason, losing a starting quarterback, several guys hitting the portal, things of that nature. 9-3 for the Tennessee Vols is still a very successful season when you look at the drought that we've been through over the past couple decades. So, I mean, I'm happy with it, and I am confident in saying that 9-3 is probably realistic. Hopefully,
Yeah.
the Vols surprise us, though, man. You never know.
Yeah, dude. I mean, 9-3 is kind of just almost even before like really digging into the schedule. It's like kind of what I had in my head of
Yeah.
this year, but definitely once I looked at it, and I do think 9-3 is very realistic. Before we end this episode, something fun I think to do sometimes has been like, do you have like a ceiling and then like the floor of what we could do as well? Like, do you have like a ceiling in your mind of what we could hit? I hate to do that sometimes because you're like
Yeah.
saying, well, we can only win this many games. Because I do
Yeah.
have a couple that was like, could have been iffy, like, oh, what if this happens or what if that happens?
The floor is coming out the gate and losing to Syracuse, man.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
getting, taking us a couple of those games that you and I mentioned over the course of going through this schedule, dropping some of those games, dude. I mean, the floor could be terrible. 8-4 is probably still considered successful to me, honestly. I think if you win only 7 games, dude, or 6 games, you've got
Yeah.
to step back and look. I mean, I think that would be the floor, would be 7 games. I think we finally reached a point where we are better than that as a program, and as a culture of the Vols.
7 would shock me.
Yeah.
So I do agree with you with the 7-5, by the way. Just want to get that out of the way. But winning
Yeah.
under 7 would really shock me. Very disappointing. But yeah, I agree.
And then the ceiling, man, and you may agree with this one too. There's a couple of games on that schedule that really do just kind of scare me a little bit. I would say that 10-2, 10-2 would probably be my realistic ceiling for this season.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think that in my head I was like maybe one of those 3 games that we've got them, because we did end up being the same, and really,
Uh-huh.
man, we did not discuss this, so it's really cool to see us have the same
Yeah.
thoughts. But my thought is like one of those 3 games would, if they happen to finally get that win at Georgia at home,
Hmm.
um, or finally get that in
Yep.
Gainesville, it's most likely what I think. I don't know why. I just don't think the Bama one's gonna happen. But that's probably more realistic for me too. Is to go 10-2, 11-1 would be like phenomenal. Not saying it's impossible. It'd be really tough to see. I'd be shocked to see an 11-1 or a 12-0 season. I'd be very shocked
Yeah.
with that aspect as well.
I think if Tennessee goes 11-1, then that means you're going on the road at Bama and at Florida and getting W's. I think if you go 11-1,
Unless you
that's just
split that
yeah,
with a Georgia win too. But
yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think we're in line with it. I think we both kind of agree on it, even though we didn't plan to agree on it.
no.
I think it's fair, man. And I hope that the Vols kind of I hope they prove us wrong, dude. I really do.
Yeah, I would love to have a special season, man, but um, I'd be happy with, if as long as they're playing competitively too, man. I think that's another key. Like if we
Yeah,
went 9-3 but got destroyed all 3 of those games against Bama, Georgia, Florida in the swamp, um,
yeah,
it just shows we're still behind them so much, like Georgia and Bama. So if anything, man, I know I'm not saying it's a good loss, but you do have losses that look better than others. Obviously, if we go down there and get blown out, it's going to look better to be closer. It's more respectable.
right.
And at the end of the day, it's so much more exciting going into football season knowing that Tennessee is competitive, though.
Yep.
These seasons have been competitive. We've been right there in games. It's really rare lately for us to get completely, destroyed, and it's been gut wrenching what happens. But there was a time, man, and a not so distant past that we were getting killed a lot, and like
Oh yeah,
I remember, like not even sometimes almost. I mean, I've always been interested, but it you would kind of like lose a little bit throughout the season, So um,
yeah,
definitely pumped for this one though, man. I'm pumped for
yeah.
this season. It's the schedule episode, man, that we talked about. So we're right there, man. When
Yeah.
this actually drops, it'll be right before the season there. So uh, super pumped.
Oh yeah, man. This is the episode that came with the birth of the idea for the podcast. I mean, this was
Sure.
the one that we were both looking forward to. It's finally here. That does it for us. That's our 2025 schedule prediction for the Volunteers there. Make sure that you guys like and subscribe to the channel. As always, tune in, check us out, show us some love. Leave us a comment actually, and tell us what you think Tennessee's going to do this year. 9-3. Are you over or under on 9-3? But
Yeah,
yeah,
just
that's
comment
all.
over under. Just real simple.
Yeah, over or under, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mike, you got anything else for him?
I think that's it, man. I mean, yeah, just like you said, show us what you think, comment, let us know. Anything helps. We appreciate you all.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that 2025 season, baby. Go Vols. All
Go Vols, man. I'll see you, dude.
right, Mike.